start with you, Nyaguthii. Where are we? Because Monday we saw people being arrested because they said, you know what, we need to stop this thing where you want to put a road right through the middle of the park and you want to move animals in order to do that. Why would that make sense for anybody right now? And then what would be the argument against that?
So maybe let me back up a little bit and think about one of these, this question, and that even for this morning's conversation, where we are terming it as development versus conservation, and if I may, I'd like to suggest that I think it's actually a false choice that we're being asked to make.
Absolutely. It's an unfair choice.
It is not only unfair, but it is a false one. Right? Because I do not think that we necessarily have to say that the only way that we can advance and we can progress is, and by that I mean when we think about that, we think about the physical development, right? And the building of roads and infrastructure, that must come at the cost of the environment, and therefore we're being asked to make those choices. And I know Akshay has a lot to say on this because he's a member of the Friends of Nairobi National Park, and that's why we were out in support of them. We as Greenbelt were out in support of them this Monday. But I would say if you know, even for those of us who have had the great opportunity to travel outside Kenya, and some of it to our neighboring countries and some of it to these other countries, Singapore, for example, Europe and the US, I know frequently we have folks telling us about Hyde Park and Central Park. One of the things that we know is that in these countries, they are actually trying to reclaim infrastructure in order to turn it green. And these environments, particularly in cities, is where we see that there is a much healthier lifestyle in living standards for the residents in the cities. So what we do is we see development as including healthy, clean, natural environments. That is part of what development looks like. And it is not just about, high-rise buildings and concrete floors and paved roads.